cannot create, also overweight, get stopped at the gate while we defy fate. Cancel Black Panther and Wonder Woman, you do not identify as human. Cringy agenda, impregnation, heterorejectia, Californication, sweet baby purge, now they shutting down the studio, DEI obliterate like it's a game of Yu-Gi-Oh. Battlefront surges, gorgeous in frostbite, Star Wars fever ignite, cause a Fortnite sensitive console seek new employers. Join me to plug up this Star Destroyer. If you only knew what you got into, shooting your brand like it's Doctor Who. Bald-headed girl boss, no thanks, not gay, Bud Light your brand and watch money evaporate. Endless failures, codes in a box, LGB terminate investor stock. Finally news on Doke AV, Sony file a patent about to imitate the Chinese. Cancel crazy when it goes your way, but if it's your side then it's not okay. We ain't the ones derailing your slop, of course you disappear when the funding stops. Hello beta testers. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep the channel around longer. Sony files a patent to detect what it classes as toxic behavior, likely to use AI the same way Activision lazily does to hide and filter you into groups of unmentionables before inevitably revoking the access that you paid for, instead of adults buying into mature experiences where we opt into a little fun, you know, as an escape, a bit of entertainment to take the edge off. It seems now the decision is being made for us by identity entities filling studios like the out-of-touch and thieving Bungie, who, before getting caught stealing art from an artist multiple people followed for years, have chosen for you not to allow the ability to even toggle proximity chat, because that would be toxic in their words. Radically queer. It's interesting seeing certain entities argue the point that you shouldn't focus on one or two bad things people did or said when they defend their alphabet buddies, while paradoxically being the horniest people for cancellation that you'd ever see, even over things as trivial as jokes. But it's, again, not about what you do or what you say, it's about whose side you're on. Daily, this platform shows me just how hypocritical it can be, allowing degenerate, futanari, furry, bestiality adjacent nonsense to be up on this bitch, but a busty girl in a video game is the end of the world. And I expect this from the cooked brain, helmet wearing kind of DEI specialist behind the scenes at some of these platforms, fresh off of TikTok, but I wonder how YouTube can continue to enforce guidelines so inconsistently without jeopardizing the future of a platform in so significant a swinging pendulum time culturally. Some entities are proudly signaling how protected a class they are as innocent people face consequence that they don't deserve. And I want the intolerant, grifting losers who've squawked about tolerance for the better half of a decade, that as they face the consequences of their own actions, the expectation that many of us should care is misplaced. I warn everybody listening to steer clear of the game Mind's Eye. Only offhands video previews of gameplay full of bugs were made available to select shills who were so shocked that even they had to be as honest as they could be in covering their ass in case this asset flip of experience is biting them in the future. I recently had some PC issues that I got fixed thanks to Haywood Spartan, so a massive thanks to him for helping me sort what I needed to so I could get back to work. Mind's Eye sells itself exclusively on its Rockstar alumni, and in my opinion, this half-baked, unpolished, and deceptive gameplay, including garbage, is an indication of mismanagement on a level I probably haven't seen since Concord. It's truly on brand for an industry forcing non-binary cringe into games by queerosexual gendermancers, but they have time to, whine and let me not get into it. Advice to management: send for the Carpathia and ask them to head to our location at full steam, because Build a Rocket Boy will be the British video game's Titanic. The iceberg has already been hit. Many people have seen their careers tumble into the icy Atlantic. Some have already climbed on the lifeboat and escaped. Lucky them. You can really feel the game developer behind these words, beta tester, and thanks to content creator Cyberboy, I can relay to you some of what surfaced in the way of reviews from former or current developers for Mind's Eye. And again, this may be easy for you to dismiss, but a lot of that, you can't play this game, you can't see uncut footage shit, shouldn't be that easy to dismiss. Do you guys remember Volition? On a stream recently, I classed Mind's Eye as an asset flip with less polish than Saints Row, but simply a less DEI coat of paint for prettier cutscenes. But if I may again reference the melons on the lass in the beginning of a recent Vindictus Defying Fate trailer, Mind's Eye follows all of DEI's rules in presenting an ugly, boyish entity instead of someone that at a glance might read as a biological woman, because that is precisely what they them hate. So wait and see. My firm hypothesis is that the recent closure of Studio Cliffhanger that was working on the now cancelled Black Panther game is just the beginning. We haven't seen half of the layoffs intended to roll out in 2025, but now that we've made it to June, it's time for you to genuinely be blown away by games that are set to come out. When Oblivion was remade, the identity entities couldn't help replacing genders with body types, fighting against normalcy, against reality, against the future, and who should join them in this fight but janitors owning sites of mods that thought that they had the authority to decide how people would be modding their Elder Scrolls game. What put them in their place? People unsubscribing. The money. And the money will be putting multiple people in this industry in their place, since that's the language they speak that they don't feel like they need to rewrite to be more progressive. Insomniac Games. Statues had to be changed. Clothing needed to be changed. But the experience was preserving that heterosexual motherfucking gift from decades in the past of a focus on a damn game, an experience that feels a little too few and far between these days, considering the agenda takes priority. You've likely had the experience of knowing at a glance that what you're looking at is something that you'd appreciate, because if it works, it just works. And I want you to be real with yourself. If in the future you come across something that at a glance just looks like something you're all about, and what I'm asking you is it American made? Because I don't think that's going to be the case. Did you guys see how Doom did? Not very well. The sensitive sanitization specialists at consultant companies, including but not limited to entities like Sweet Baby Inc., are still infesting studios like the recently closed Cliffhanger, who boasted one of SBI's most famous and vocal racists who claimed they don't hire white people and had a fully non-white team because it fostered a safer work environment. Interesting. Most everyone I interface with in this gaming space classes me as some insensitive, foul-mouthed hater. For what? Standing against hypocritical racism? I fought douchebags like Skilla, defending plagiarists like Philip Mewson. I fought activist creators desperate to normalize permanent changes administered behind the backs of children's parents, and the removal of femininity that they homosexually class as gooning. I'm proud to declare that so much of what you will soon see in gaming, beta testers, has nothing to do with these pussies. And the fact that these games at a glance will not subscribe to the ideology will bury the competition. Some, like what I mentioned with Claire 33, will demonstrate DEI's effort to shave out all of that Dragon Age Veilguard, but it'll be a little too obvious unless they really come correct. And some of these people that are finally jumping ship have fastened the wheel en route to the next iceberg, because hitting 1 just wasn't enough. Shed no tears for these canceled projects, because the version of what you would have played or received would have been so hated by the majority that I can't help but think of the Blade movie that might have starred Mahershala Ali. People desperately try to make things something that it's not, and make a worse mark on the world and culture than if they had never made anything at all. And allow me to speak very clearly. What you like deserves to be done justice, so it can survive, not receive treatment from Sushi Squad developers, Dustborn developers, Avowed developers, Concord, Marathon, Saints Row Reboot, Fair Games, Dune, Mind's Eye. If you think you care about the innocent developers on some of these doomed projects, then why the fuck have you been so silent on the ugly, flat-chested, wheelchair-bound, surgery scar-having DEI non-binaries forced into these games up until this point? I'm willing to be called whatever under the sun because the opinions of the entities who cannot define woman do not matter to me, and in the end I will not be coerced into funding the very people who need to see their way up out of what they're deliberately destroying in my industry. The passion I ooze when I speak on what I love is absent from what I observe among the shills, among the developers, and among so many of you pussies who think you are owed a little of my time, a little of my brain cells. These people are bad for everything they fucking touch. You and I one day found ourselves testing games that they were too lazy to, but unfinished and unpolished wasn't enough. We were also piloting nobodies that they knew we would hate, Brian and Tahar, choking down writing from inexperienced and socially stunted activists. These people are cancer. And worse, we're forced to stomach the image of your self-insert narcissism, and I routinely edit out myself gagging at the fucking thought of you losers. If they them cared, they'd stop telling lies like the shill puppets they are and manage honesty enough to admit that pretty might play better for the majority audience, and earning more means security, safety, success, and a future. But if there's one statistic I see furiously rubbed in my face like it's my fucking fault from a specific group of pronoun worshippers, it's that a future is significantly less guaranteed. So, ironically, trying to push your lifestyle on us in entertainment we're paying for isn't just a hate crime, it's a death threat. I'm done humoring the intolerant. And beta tester, so are you.